The world is changing fast, taking all our lives with it. But we can change it too, by seeking answers to problems through discussions and debates. On World Insight, I ask direct questions to real people in the know, seek genuine answers, but respect diverse perspectives. Our live global debates tackle the most critical issues head-on. World Insight with Tian Wei go beyond the headlines.
You're watching breaking news on CGTN.
Welcome to the world today on CGTN.
Hello and welcome back to World Insight with me, Tian Wei. The program is coming to you Monday to Friday on CGTN. August the 1st is China's Army Day. This year marks the 91st anniversary of the founding of the Chinese People's Liberation Army, or the PLA. Speaking before the event, Chinese President Xi Jinping, who is also the chairman of the Central Military Commission, called on the nation's military to stop all paid services. The president says the move is an important part of China's new round of military reforms. He stressed that the PLA would continue to work to preserve world peace and uphold the international order.
The call to action can come at any time. There's an unannounced drill every week. Their rapid response exercise is to prepare troops for any possible scenario. This is the daily life of UN peacekeepers. Protecting civilians and impartiality are the core principles. Participating in UN-led peacekeeping missions since 1990, China has made a series of historic leaps in its peacekeeping efforts. More than 30,000 officers and soldiers take part in more than 20 peacekeeping missions. In a significant move in 2015, China announced it would set up a permanent UN peacekeeping force of 8,000 troops and donate $100 million to the African Union.
Africa has the biggest peacekeeping needs. In the long run, the international community and the UN should support African countries in increasing their own capacity in keeping peace and stability so that African issues can be addressed in an African way.
In 2016, 3 Chinese UN peacekeepers died on missions. But that did not deter China's participation in UN peacekeeping operations. Keeping peace, bringing hope, better life to people in need is every peacekeeper's aspiration.
The PLA will, as always, actively perform its responsibilities and obligations compatible with its international status and make positive contributions to the building of a community of shared future for mankind.
China has been sending peacekeepers to various hotspots around the world as part of China's peacekeeping commitment to the United Nations. Such units usually include engineers and logistical units and members of the paramilitary People's Armed Police. They have been deployed as part of peacekeeping operations in Africa, and the Middle East on behalf of the UN. Earlier, I asked Atul Khare, who is the UN Under-Secretary General for Field Support, about China's contribution to the UN efforts. He is responsible for the logistical support of UN peacekeeping services worldwide, and he provides the most accurate description of China's peacekeeping contributions so far.
China is in a very unique position. It is the only country which is a permanent member of the Security Council, which authorizes peacekeeping operations. It is the country which at the same point of time is also amongst the top 10 troop contributing nations, and with about 10.2% of its contribution to the entire budget of peacekeeping, it is the second largest financial contributor to the peacekeeping operations. There is no other country in the world which is within the top 10 financial contributors, within the top 10 troop contributors, and also a permanent member of the Security Council. This is a unique position with unique responsibilities, and China has been doing very well. We are happy with its contributions of military liaison officers, of medical officers, of hospitals, level 1 and level 2, of engineering companies, and of course the police formed units and individual police officers. All of them have been doing very well.
But there are different interpretations as to why China wants to do that from different parts of the world. What do you make of these diversified voices concerning what China wants?
I don't know about the diversified voices, but you know, the Charter of the United Nations imposes a responsibility on all its member states to contribute to the maintenance of international peace and security. And this responsibility obviously is greater for the members of the Security Council. As a prominent member, permanent member of the Security Council, I think China is playing its rightful role in contributing to the maintenance of international peace and security, and we are grateful for the Chinese contributions.
Sometimes peacekeeping are having the problems of no peace to be kept.
Correct.
So that has a lot to do with the evolving role of the peacekeeping of the United Nations.
Absolutely.
And what should be the groundwork laid before that?
Yeah.
What do you make of all of these recent developments?
The fact that we are now deployed in countries which are facing internal conflict, where peace does not yet exist, and where terrorists continue to operate along the sidelines of peacekeepers. I think these are new and difficult emerging challenges which require us to think together as the international community, through the Security Council, through giving mandates which are clear, through ensuring that the political processes also produce results, while at the same point of time the military peacekeepers provide a blanket of security, a framework within which the political process can unfold.
We see a lot of conflicting points these days in the world.
Yes.
Of course, inside Europe you have the migrant issue, and in the Middle East there are so many traditional and new added problems. How much role do you think peacekeeping can play its role practically?
You know, currently the operations which are supported by my department, that is both the special political missions, the peacekeeping operations, and the African Union operations, they are deployed in 36 places in 30 countries in the world. I don't think we should expand them too much.
It's already stretched thin.
It's already stretched to the limit. What we need to do is to enhance the effectiveness, the efficiency of the peacekeepers, to ensure greater security and safety of the peacekeepers. You know, we unfortunately lost 3 valiant, courageous Chinese peacekeepers, and I pay tribute to their memory. One person lost his life in Mali and 2 others in South Sudan. I think therefore safety and security of peacekeepers, greater effectiveness and greater efficiency should be our motto for tomorrow.
But how can you do that? I mean, it's very important for you as policymakers to think about these, but how to implement it? How to have the cooperation of the ground, the countries involved.
Yes.
That's the most important thing.
And I think this happens essentially through various discussions that we organize in United Nations. Practically every speaker called for enhanced resources to be provided to the UN peacekeeping. This was a matter of deep satisfaction to me because they acknowledged the challenges which we are facing.
Now we see the UN is changing in a fast-changing world. What would you expect the future direction of peacekeeping by the UN? And what will that be the job division between the United Nations and the regional powers and individual countries?
I think maintenance of international peace and security in today's volatile world requires the fullest degree of cooperation and understanding between regional organizations, sub-regional organizations and United Nations. I think it is only by working together that we can produce results, which is why over the last 2 years I have greatly enhanced the cooperation which exists between the United Nations, my department particularly, and the African Union. We are also similarly enhancing the cooperation with the European Union and in due course of time with ASEAN or other regional organizations of the world.
What are the realistic expectations the UN should have about China?
I think the realistic expectations are the fulfillment of the pledges which were announced by His Excellency President Xi Jinping in the Peacekeeping Leaders Summit in September 2015. And I will divide these pledges into 3 broad categories. First is the contribution which the China will make through its troops, through its equipment. We have already conducted an assessment visit for a rapidly deployable formed police unit. As we speak, my team is doing an assessment of their equipment so that we can place them in what is known as level 3, beyond level 1 and level 2. Level 3 means that they are most ready to deploy.
I see.
So it's
That's
a question
right. Okay.
of time period of deployment rather than the dangerous places. Second is the contribution which China will make towards the development of peacekeepers from other countries. You know, it was promised that China will train about 2,000 peacekeepers from different countries, and we look forward to that because, as I told you earlier, every UN member state has a responsibility to contribute to the maintenance of international peace and security, but sometimes they are unable to do it because either they are lacking the skills and training or they are lacking the equipment. And I discussed both these issues with the Chinese leaders during my visit. And third, of course, is support to the Africa for its own peacekeeping. And as you know, there was an announcement of $100 million being made available to African Union peacekeeping, and we look forward to the implementation of that pledge. Similarly, we will do studies for other brigade, the Vanguard Brigade, which China supports. And we hope that in due course of time, China can provide us with military helicopters, including armed helicopters, with transport helicopters, utility aviation helicopters, and so on.